What's happening, guys? It's another day on the channel down here in Florida, and today we're out of Miata stuff because I don't have any more parts, but what we do have is tractor stuff. I'm sick of pumping up these tires, so I went out and I bought some slime. I'm gonna go ahead, put that in the two front tires. Hopefully that'll fix it. If it doesn't, I need to buy tires then, but that's okay because it makes it easier to drive. The other thing that we have to figure out is why it won't run now. So I think that there's something wrong with maybe the crank sensor or whatever the heck these things use, because there's no spark anymore. Check that, 0. So we have to figure out why that's not sparking. And once we can figure that out, hey, we can probably drive it again. So let's go ahead, put some of this slime in these tires, and then we're gonna go ahead, try to pump them up, and then start diagnosing some of this stuff to try to get this thing running again. I took the valve stems out. I don't know if you're supposed to do it that way or not, but got the valve stems out. Gonna put the cap on for the slime like that. I'm just gonna start pushing the stuff into there. We're gonna put a lot of this in there because I'm sick of this. So we're gonna put some of this into this one, then we're gonna put some into that one, and then we'll be right back with the full pumped up tires. Okay, so all the slime is in. I just rolled the tractor back and forth to try to get the slime to move around a little bit in there to try to seal up everything. So hopefully that works now and the tires won't go flat. We are getting some patina, like I said last time. So these things are starting to rust up pretty nice there and down there on the side. Good. So now we have to figure out how to, what's going on here? Have to figure out why this baby won't run. You got me. I'm kind of lost. I don't really know much about tractors, but I think we have to take off this cover here to check to see if there's something that's missing in there or if it's burned up or whatnot. So let's go ahead and try to take this side cover off now. Mason stopped over and he seems to think that it's lost compression. I don't know about that, but we're gonna give it an old compression test here and see what's going on. Gotta put this onto there and do some stuff, you know. But how's your Z?
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right?
We've got some little kinks we got to work out still.
Okay, yeah. So, are you going to be at OSW?
I'll be out there. I'll be out there for probably months.
Hopefully that's out there.
Well, hopefully.
I hope so. Or at least the Miata or something. But let's go ahead, do a compression check real quick. The compression is good, like I thought. It started off really low down here on the bottom until it started picking up on the RPM, and then it just popped it way the heck up there to like 130. So our compression is still good. I thought that was good. So now, like I said, we're gonna have to take this cover off to check. What's the thing that tractors go off of? It's not like a coil pack, it's a...
They have a, well, there's gonna be a coil still, and then there's a stator.
Yeah.
Stator.
The stator on the side here might be bad.
Maybe.
So.
Sometimes you can save them, clean them up.
Yeah.
It's literally just little magnets.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to do that, pull this off and see what's underneath there, and we gotta do some wiring on this thing afterwards and more stuff, but let's go ahead and just try to take this cover off first. Okay, so we have this whole side all apart, only snap one bolt. So pretty psyched about that. This whole panel here comes off. You gotta take the top cover off too. So the coil is right here. I gotta see if this is actually bad. So honestly, I'm probably gonna leave this off until I know that it actually runs. And then we'll figure out how to put it all back together and do what we need to do. Hopefully none of my cables or wires or any of this stuff gets all messed up, because I don't want that stuff to get messed up. I tried to see if there was power at the coil when the key is on, and there is not. So let's see. I'll be right back with testing, showing you guys what I'm doing here. So as you guys can see, we got the multimeter hooked up there. Shows 12 volts there. When we test this here for the actual coil, you get 0. And then we're gonna turn the key on. Still 0. Push in the clutch pedal here and give it a crank. And it barely shows any voltage right there. So the coil's not getting any voltage. So we have to figure out why it's not getting any voltage now. Maybe we have a broken wire or something like that. So we're gonna start unplugging things and we're going to start trying to diagnose what happened to this thing. Maybe I have one of the wires for the key switch in the wrong position and it needs to just be in a different position to actually get the 12 volts. But we got to try to figure this out because I want this thing to run. Whole harness is right here for the tractor. And it looks like there's something right here that might be a big possibility that it's going to be touching another wire, so that'll cause our problem. I need to pull these wires apart here and see what's going on. This one is not touching, it doesn't look like. And then this white one right here is not touching either. That wasn't touching the red one either. So I got to start trying to figure out what's going on with this system here. So I believe this blue wire right here, which goes to one of these relays over here, is the wire that's supposed to trigger this whole thing, and it's supposed to work like that. So I have to try to figure that stuff out. A lot later in the video, fix my tooth, still working on the tractor here. Today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the coil for it, and then we're gonna try to clean up some of the wire on here, one of the ground wires that I kind of fried up a little bit, clean those up, put those back in, do the continuity test between a lot of the wires, see what's going on, and then we should be able to figure out what's going on with it. So pretty much the entire harness is unplugged except for 2 switches underneath, and then the whole thing should be able to pull out. And what we should be able to do is we should be able to test the entire harness, check what we need to check, and then we should be able to get it all back together. I'm gonna try to relume as much of it as I possibly can, get it all back to where it needs to go, and then we should be able to try to fire this thing up, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we have more things that we need to check out. So our main problem was we weren't getting sparks. So if we can figure out what was going on with that, maybe a wire was touching ground or something like that, then we should be able to get this all back together. So let's go ahead and check all this stuff now and redo some of this. Okay, so now that we have the whole harness out of the tractor, this should be a lot easier to start testing the systems. I'm probably gonna simplify some of this wiring too. Like this one here was for the seat switch, so we don't need that anymore. This was for like the PTO. This one was part of the PTO right here. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna go through, simplify some of this stuff, and just check all the wiring for the whole thing. Hopefully it's not the circuit board that goes behind the steering column right here. If this is bad, then we're kind of out of luck, because I don't know where I could potentially get one of these, because this Toro tractor is very old and they don't really make a lot of parts for this thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to simplify some of this wiring, get a new coil for it. Hopefully all this stuff will work again, and we should be good to go, guys. I really do wanna try to get this thing running again, and actually in better shape than in better electrical shape than it was, because if this thing could be running tip top, then it's gonna be really easy to just start, turn key, drive it, do what you need to do, and then you can just park it back to where it needs to go. So let's go ahead and start diagnosing some of this wiring here. Okay, so we moved to the table, and it took me a couple minutes to try to figure out what exactly I was trying to do here. And we're gonna start over in this section where the relays are. We're gonna try to shorten these 2 wires right here, these 2 sets of wires. These 2 were for the PTO, which is not on the tractor anymore, and we don't need it. Then we're gonna jump over here to the ground wire, and we're gonna redo the ground wire on this side, undo it from underneath these 2 wires right there, redo it so that it goes all the way back up to the key switch, and that stuff will be fixed up there. Then we'll try to maneuver our way through the middle of the harness here, try to figure out where some of these wires here, goes up to the coil pack, and not to the coil pack, but to the coil, and then to a couple other of the systems that are in the front of the tractor. And then we'll move our way back to the back of it. I was gonna delete these 2 right here. This one is for the e-brake switch, and then this one is for the clutch switch. I think I'm going to leave both of those on there because those are 2 safeties that are kind of good to have on the tractor. I mean, the tractor doesn't really see very much yard work or anything anymore, and it's kind of just a free-for-all playing tractor, but hey, we're able to drive it around, and that's what I think we're going to do. Okay, so now that we got the harness pretty simpled up, the 2 wires that went to the PTO, shortened those, made those be in the main harness on the bottom down here. This white wire right here and the green wire that I just simplified there, that was for the seat switch. We have our new ground system all right here. This actually goes into there like that, and then it'll come out of the harness there. This green wire that's not connected to anything, this went to the headlights, and then this green wire back here, those go to the tail lights. I left the clutch switch and the brake switch in so that we have a way to test that if the ECU is sending out power and the power is getting to where it needs to go. The rest of the wires didn't look like there was any sort of breakage or anything like that. They're just a little scorched up from that ground wire, like touching it and stuff like that. So there's like extra rubber on those. But overall though, guys, it looks pretty good. I could potentially change this power wire here, this white one that goes all the way up, because it does look like it has a couple singe marks in it. Nothing fully through it, but hey, we could change that one too. But we're gonna try to put the harness back together. But this is like something that I'm gonna do in the long run. We're gonna try to figure this out. But right now, we're gonna do another video for you guys. And look who showed up once again. So today we're gonna go do some truck stuff, but this is the tractor video. So then stay tuned for today's video, which is started a long time ago, but then finished today and some stuff, you know, just trying to be a YouTuber. Coming back from all the truck stuff that I did today, I am now working on the tractor again. This is probably going to be there's probably be me changing outfits again and not having sunglasses on my head. But the things that I bought at Tractor Supply were a starter coil, and then I bought another spark plug. I couldn't find the actual coil for the ignition, so we're going to have to either order this online or try to figure something out. I'll probably take the picture of this here, and we're going to try to figure out what we can get with this thing here. The harness I have to finish looming up and electrical taping again, and then we're gonna put it back into the tractor and try to put this back in with these two new parts and see if this still works or if it doesn't work. But yeah, guys, we're gonna try to figure all this out, and then hopefully we can get this thing running pretty soon. After this thing runs and the Toro runs, then we can go on to the actual drift tractor and try to get that thing set up. I got to put the front subframe back underneath. I have to build a box for the rear so that I can put the live axle in. I got to get the go-kart wheels. I got to get some other stuff for it, but all of it's in due time, and we're going to get two tractors together. So let's go ahead, put this harness back together, and try to get the Toro started a little bit later. I got the parts yesterday that I needed for the tractor. So I got the new starter solenoid, a new spark plug. I looked up today to how to test the ignition coil because I wasn't too familiar on this ignition coil. And the ignition coil for this tractor is actually bad. So somewhere I probably shorted it out when I burned up that ground wire. But how you test it is you put one onto the base right here, and you put one of your leads onto the actual coil pack part right there and test ohms to see if it puts out any ohms. And mine reads open loop. So this, I need a new coil pack. So we're gonna have to get one of these things. We're gonna get one of those this week. Hopefully we can get it by Friday and we can be riding the tractor around again. What we're gonna do today though is we're gonna finish up with this video, and we're gonna finish doing the harness here, relume this whole thing. Then we're gonna put it back into the tractor, and hopefully that this is what's gonna help us. And then this will fix our problem, and then the tractor will run okay. Hopefully the little ECU piece that puts on our wire, on our lights and stuff like that runs perfectly fine. If it doesn't and it gives us problems, I guess we're gonna have to delete these two right here if this is our problem. Other than that, we should be able to just start it up and run it. So the tractor doesn't really take that many wires, even though there's a million wires right here. So let's go ahead and finish up this harness, get it into the tractor, and then later this week, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to work on this tractor. We have the rear axle, we have the front spindles that we need. We're gonna try to put it all underneath it. We're gonna box in the back subframe back there, put the weld on the actual axle and stuff like that, and then get it set as a rolling chassis again. So that'd be really cool to see for that. And then we'll get on to something else for the weekend. But stay tuned for this tractor and for this tractor. Hopefully we can get this thing running by Friday. Now that we have our harness all reloomed and everything here, we're gonna put this thing back in. We're gonna wire it all back up to where it needs to go. We're gonna put the headlights back on, put the tail lights back on, and we're gonna go ahead and see what we could do with it. We're gonna change out our spark plug, and we're gonna change out our ignition coil for the, not the ignition coil, the starter solenoid. Put those two new parts on, and then we're gonna wait for the ignition coil. But other than that, guys, that's gonna be maybe about it for this video. The tire sadly did not work. I'm kind of upset about this one here. The other tire seems to hold air pretty good though. That one still has air in it from the last time I filled it up, so that one's still good. This tire though, ain't so bueno. So let's go ahead though and get this harness all into the car right now though. Okay, so it's been a little bit since I filmed for this thing here, but the harness is in, the whole tractor's back together. I lost my ground cable, so I just put the ground cable on the ground side, and I got this one for the power side. So this one's a little bit longer. I think it might be a little bit thicker too, so that's a little better. And we have our new starter solenoid right here. We have our new spark plug in here. Now we just need our new ignition coil, and then this thing should run again. We're probably gonna have to drain the gas again, get the fuel bowl to work again, but then after that, this thing should be turnkey once again, and we should be able to turn the key and it'll actually work. But before we keep messing around with it, we're gonna unplug some of this stuff so that we don't fry anything up again, because I'm still not sure if I got the key switch on this side the right way. It cranks, it does everything it needs to do, but it still just doesn't work perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to call it for today. That's about all the things that we can do anyways here. And we'll come back to it when we have the ignition coil, and then we're going to go ahead and try to start this thing up. So if you guys liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, comment, share, do all the good stuff. I hope to see you guys in the next one with more tractor content.